This episode of Marijuana Today Daily is brought to you by our friends over at ease.com, California's top one-stop website for legal marijuana delivery. Ease is working hard this week to help spread the word about National Expungement Week, where events are being held all over the U.S. to help people walk through the logistics of getting now legal marijuana charges removed from their criminal records. In particular, Ease is highlighting the work of Adam Vine and his organization Cage-Free Cannabis, which works to reduce and reverse the negative impacts on people and communities of the war on drugs and marijuana. You can learn more about Cage-Free Cannabis over at cagefreecannabis.com and more about National Expungement Week, including the location of the nearest planned event over at offtherecord.us. That's cagefreecannabis.com and offtherecord.us, not .com. And as always, you can fire up ease.com, spelled E-A-Z-E, for all your legal California marijuana delivery needs. Good morning, Marijuana Nation. It's Tuesday, October 23rd, 2018, and you're tuned in to episode 597 of Marijuana Today Daily. I'm your host, Shay Gunther, and I'll be walking you through today's marijuana news and headlines. As always, we have a full and busy day of cannabis news in our hands, so let's jump right into it. Our top story on this fine Tuesday is the latest poll from Gallup showing that a full 66% of Americans now think that marijuana should be made legal, the highest mark in the 50 years the question has been asked. Gallup started polling Americans on the question, quote, "Do you think the use of marijuana should be made legal or not?" unquote, back in 1969, when just 12% of Americans thought that ending the prohibition of cannabis was a good idea. That percentage of Americans in favor of legalization rose into the 20s during the 1980s and most of the 1990s before starting a steady climb around the year 2000 to its current high mark of a full 2/3 of Americans. You can click over to Gallup for more details on this one, including more demographic breakdowns. As we always find in these polls, progressive voters are far ahead of their conservative peers in supporting cannabis, with around 75% of Democrats favoring legal marijuana and just 53% of regressive Republicans. Today's second top story is also built around an interesting poll, this time from consulting firm A.T. Kearney, which asked consumers about their thoughts on major brands and how their perception of them would change if they were to embrace legal cannabis as a business line. According to the results, Americans appear to be mostly unfazed by the idea of big companies getting involved with legal marijuana. Marijuana Business Daily charted out some of the higher level results, which shows how consumers' perspectives change across different market categories like alcohol, health and wellness, and personal care. In every single polled category, the majority of consumers wouldn't change their perception at all if a brand were to come out with a legal cannabis business, and the amount of people who said it would improve their perception outweighed those who said that it would be a negative factor. This is a really nice visual representation of the eroding stigma around marijuana. Swing over and check it out. We bounce up to Canada for our final top story today, where consumers are starting to raise some concerns about the amount of packaging that comes with the nation's new legal adult use marijuana system. Federal and provincial laws require that legal cannabis be sold in packaging that makes it hard for kids to get into, which means that in some cases, the weight of the plastic packaging can be more than the actual cannabis sold within. Multiply that by the scores of legal cannabis transactions being made right now and to be made, and you get a giant pile of packaging waste, mostly made up of plastic. This is a nearly universal issue for legal cannabis, so even though this story itself focuses on Canada, there's something to be learned here no matter where you hang your business hat. Those are our top stories for today. It's time for Marijuana Today Daily Headlines Blitz. Before we blitz out on headlines, let's quickly thank our sponsor, ease.com, California's top one-stop website for legal marijuana delivery. Ease is helping to promote this week the work of Adam Vine and his LA-based organization, Cage-Free Cannabis, which is getting the word out about National Expungement Week, running through October 27th. There are expungement events scheduled all over the country in places where it's possible to file to get now legal marijuana charges removed from one's criminal record. You can find them and learn more over at offtherecord.us. If you or someone you know could benefit from expunging cannabis crimes from the old criminal record, then please visit offtherecord.us to check eligibility and to see if there are any nearby events planned to get help. And to learn more about Adam Vine and his group, Cage-Free Cannabis, you only need to open up cagefreecannabis.com. And lastly, eaze.com, spelled E-A-Z-E, is where you go when you want legal California marijuana delivery that's been properly tested, packaged, and labeled. Big thanks to everyone at Eaze for supporting today's news. All right, time for the Blitz. Heading back up north to Canada for a headline, we have an interesting story about how Canada Post, the nation's federal postal service, is handling their new role as deliverers of mail-order legal cannabis. The website Narcity picked up on a thread over at Reddit from Canadian shoppers who have had their legal cannabis packages both delayed by a number of days and outright seized due to their skunky smell. It's all anecdotal stories, but it's a good peek into some of the smaller complexities Canada is going through in its transition to legal adult use. Financial Post is reporting that cannabis stocks trading on the Canadian public market have slumped in the nation's opening days of legalized adult use, which makes a little bit of sense given how volatile the prices for publicly traded marijuana stocks have been over the last year or so. Swing over for all the stocky details and numbers. One of Canada's larger banks has issued a comprehensive report on the future of legal cannabis. Scotia Capital is a subsidiary of the Bank of Nova Scotia and just released a 97-page report finding that legal marijuana is very much a real business with a large potential upside for growth. Scotia Capital is also initiating coverage by analysts of a number of publicly traded cannabis companies, including giant Canopy Growth. This report is deep and very much worth the read. Swing over to Marijuana Business Daily's story about the report, where you can find a link to read it in full yourself. If you read just one story today, this probably should be it. The Canadian Press is reporting that the Toronto Police Department has shut down a total of 11 unlicensed marijuana dispensaries in their city since adult use legalization flipped over last Wednesday. Closed shops are having their inventory seized and doors locked up. The Canna blog is a really valuable write-up of some of the new changes to California marijuana law announced on Friday by the Bureau of Cannabis Control. We touched on this storyline a bit yesterday as one of the bigger proposed changes in the draft of the regulations released concerns the delivery of marijuana, which would be allowed in every city and town, whereas currently local authorities can ban such service. This post is wonderfully detailed and worthy of a click over, especially if you do any business in the Golden State. As always, we have all the news we cover linked to on our website at mjtodaydaily.com and on our Twitter account at mjtodaydaily. Yesterday, during a press conference in New Jersey, Craig Coughlin, the Speaker of the State Assembly, said that a vote on legalizing adult use marijuana would not be going before state legislatures this month, even though a vote had been planned. Speaker Coughlin said that he thought the vote would happen sometime this year, but offered up no specifics on exactly when. Finally, for today, we have news that California-based marijuana company PAX, maker of the popular PAX vaporizers, just raised $20 million in funding from current investors on a multi-billion-dollar valuation, the exact amount of which hasn't been released. Those are headlines and news for the day. I'll be back with you again tomorrow morning with another information-packed episode of Marijuana Today Daily. But in the meantime, if you have any stories to share or feedback to give, zip us an email to headlines@mjtodaydaily.com. And while you're clicking around the interwebs, swing over to our Twitter account at mjtodaydaily and visit our website at mjtodaydaily.com to find links to all the news we cover. Thanks to our sponsor, Eaze, and to all of our awesome Patreon listeners for the support that makes this show possible. To join the illustrious ranks of the Patreon listeners yourself, swing over to our website at mjtodaydaily.com and click on that big blue button at the top of the page that says Become a Patron. I'm your host, Shay Gunther. Thanks for tuning in, starting your day with marijuana today.
One take, Shay. One take.